Today we're going to start with week 2, establishing and maintaining good credit. My name is Andrea Everett or Andy. So this week we're going to be discussing ways on how to establish your credit. And so we're going to be talking about the basics of opening a checking and savings account at your bank, a credit union or other financial institution is one way to establish credit. And then credit is, as we've been discussing over the weeks, is the ability to borrow money. And then obtaining a secured credit card linked to a savings account is a good way to establish credit as well. And then we never want to spend more money than we have in our bank accounts. And lenders, and then just another point, lenders will only loan you money if they have trust and confidence that you're able to pay them back. And then you earn trust by establishing that credit, okay? So just to start the discussion, why do you think it is important to establish credit?
It's important because so that you can get easier loans, so you can get your loans approved.
Right.
Easier.
Anybody else? No. Okay. What kinds of things do you buy with a credit card if you have one?
A lot of stuff.
Like what?
Like, I don't know. Like, I would buy whatever with credit cards. I mean, can't you use it on anything?
You can.
I would probably use gas if I needed to use it.
Okay.
I didn't have enough money.
And then do you guys have any tips that you've heard that you can share about using credit cards wisely?
No, because I still have the mattress. I forget we
still have the money under the mattress? Okay. Well, hopefully, Robert, by the end of this whole session, we will convince you of putting your money into a financial institution. And maybe you can still keep a little under your mattress, but for the most part, for the convenience, you can help establish your credit and get into a financial institution, okay? So just defining some of these terms. So on the module, we kind of talked about, what it takes to maintain good credit. We're going to talk about the types of information contained in a credit report. We're going to identify the 3 credit reporting agencies and then identify 5 credit laws and describe the protections that they offer. Okay? So just to define terms, good credit. What do you guys think is good credit? What would you say it is?
Maybe 180%.
180%?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you mean by that?
I thought in the last it was like 800%, or 180.
Okay. Well, good credit is the term commonly used to mean that one's credit has been handled responsibly and that payments have been on time. And then so credit, we've talked about this several times. Somebody tell me what the definition of credit is. Jacob?
Wait, say that again.
Somebody tell me what the definition of credit is.
Is it for us to read?
No, no. What's your definition of credit?
Okay, never mind.
Okay. Anybody else want to chime in?
It's the ability of a customer to obtain goods or a service before payment based on a trust that payment will be made in the future.
Good job, Sol.
Why are you reading? You're reading it.
Okay, so credit is the concept of
Brock's all upset.
I know he was.
tomorrow's
I know
money
he was.
to pay for something you get today, right? So credit is the promise to repay a debt for goods and services. Exactly. Credit may be extended via several means, including what? How can you get credit? What's one? We have credit cards.
No.
Loans.
Wait, actually, yes.
What kind of loans?
Not loans.
Yes, what kind of loans?
Uh, um,
Is he searching it up?
Personal loans, car loans, home mortgages. Come on, guys.
so basically any loan. I was gonna say a few, but I thought you asked for a specific one.
Yeah, there's no wrong answers. We'll work through everything here, okay?
All right.
Okay. So
Wait,
some of the ways.
it-
Go
Is there a
ahead.
boat loan?
Is there a what? A boat loan? Yeah, you could get a boat loan.
Okay.
You could purchase a boat through a loan. Usually you get finance for that kind of thing, unless you're paying cash. But that's not going to help you establish your
Okay.
credit, right?
Okay. Right.
Okay. So when we're establishing credit, you guys need to accomplish the following, right? You need to establish a financial presence by opening up a checking and savings account at a financial institution. No money under the mattress is going to help you establish credit, right? You should obtain a
Under the
credit
mattress.
card or two, and then you need to know your limits, okay? So let's take a closer look. So some of the basics. We want to shop around for free or low-cost checking account options. And we talked about that last time, right? All of the different services that different financial institutions provide and what would be the best for you, right? For you to shop around, at least look at 3 different types of financial institutions. You want to try to keep a minimum balance of $200 to $300 in your account to help avoid bouncing a check. You want to make regular deposits and contact or respond to the financial institution promptly if you experience any account problems. Okay? So just as a definition, a checking account is an account that lets you write checks to pay bills or to buy goods. The financial institution takes the money from your account and pays it to the person named on the check. And the financial institution sends you a monthly record of the deposits made and the checks written. Okay, who knows what a savings account is?
An account you make at a bank or a credit union to put in or deposit money for a certain amount of time.
Okay, for safekeeping, right? Or as an investment that
Right.
earns interest. Because
It's like,
most times go ahead.
it will allow you to keep your money in a safe place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that and a lot of savings accounts, you earn interest on the amount of money that you have, and the more money that you have, since it's a percentage, is the more interest that you make on your account. Okay. And then just to review, a bank is a federally regulated financial institution that allows you a place to keep your money and uses it to make more money. So banks make loans, cash checks, accept deposits, and provide other financial services. And then a credit union is a federally regulated cooperative financial institution that is owned by the people who use its services, okay? So credit unions serve groups that share something in common, like where they work or go to church, and you have to become a member of the credit union to keep your money there. Okay. So how to obtain a credit card. So you want to obtain 1 or 2 credit cards to start building your credit history, but you always want to pay your bills on time, okay? Too many credit cards may lead a creditor to believe that you are overextended. What does that mean? Overextended. Like you're living past your means. Like if you're maxing out your credit cards, a creditor is going to think, why?
Where are you reading this?
I'm reading my notes, but this is it's up here, and I'm going to get to the information that's there. Okay.
Okay.
So too many credit cards may lead a creditor to believe that you are overextended and will eventually fall behind on future payments. Okay, so like just a few minutes ago, we talked about that you should only spend as much money as you have in your account so that you're able to pay your payments, right? And on time. And what's the most important thing about your credit? Paying payments on time, right? We talked about the first week, we've said that the second week, we've gone on and on. Making your payments on time is the most important thing for your credit. Okay, so many financial institutions offer credit cards and some will charge you an annual fee to have one. Before issuing you a credit card, your credit history will be checked to determine if you're responsible. And your credit limit or the amount you are allowed to borrow or charge is determined based on many factors, including your credit score and your credit history. And then when you're applying for any type of credit card, you're going to want to carefully review interest rates and fees. Okay, and if your credit's not really established, you may be sent a lot of credit card offers with high interest rates. And it's really important that you don't take those credit card offers and that you really work on establishing your credit first so that you don't end up in a situation where you are just paying interest and not paying on your actual debts.
I hear someone eating.
Yeah.
I think it's actually my
Please.
breath. Okay, so when we're talking about credit history, okay? A credit history is a record of credit use, and it's comprised of a list of individual consumer debts, and it's an indication as whether or not those debts are paid back in a timely fashion as you agreed, right? Because when you signed up for a credit card or you signed up for a loan or, you know, a car, you sign up to finance a car, you're agreeing to those terms. So credit institutions have developed a complex recording system of documenting your credit history, and this is what they call a credit report. Okay, and we're going to go through this right now and actually look at an actual credit report. So, you know, when you're trying to get a credit card, you really need to look at those interest rates, and the interest rates are commonly thought of as a cost of borrowing money. So the better your credit score, the lower your interest rate is going to be. The worse your credit score, the higher your interest rate is going to be. And it might not even be worth it to grab that credit card or apply for that credit card if your interest rate is just way too high to handle. Okay, you don't want to put yourself in a bad situation. So the interest rate is expressed as a percentage, and the amount of interest that is paid each year is determined by multiplying the amount of the loan by the percentage, okay? So, and then fees, so you may not just straight be getting a credit card on your interest rate. There also are other fees associated with that. So fees are the money a financial institution charges, such as a monthly maintenance fee for providing those various services that they give to you, okay? So credit reporting agency. A credit reporting agency, there's three major credit reporting agencies. They're Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, okay? And each one gives you a different score. They may be somewhat close to each other, but depending on who reported what and to what credit agency, they may vary, and they may vary by a lot, okay? So a credit reporting agency is a company that collects and retains credit information on all persons using credit and provides that information in the form of a credit report to lenders or creditors for a fee. And that the credit reporting agency is commonly referred to as a credit bureau. So credit reporting agency and credit bureau are interchangeable words. They're used in the same manner, okay? And so a creditor, what's a creditor?
A person who keeps track of the members of the bank's credit or gives out credit. I don't know.
Well, a bank can be a creditor. So a creditor is the term used for the person or entity that is providing credit or a loan to a borrower at specific terms and conditions. The term creditor can be generally be used interchangeably with the term lender. So a creditor is just a lender, okay? Which can be a bank, okay? Which in most times it is a bank, okay? So you want to get into the habit of paying off the card in full, okay? Once you have a card and once you have looked at different cards and picked the best card that's for you, you want to get into the habit of paying off that credit card in full or as much as you can each month, okay? You want to make absolutely certain that your payments are made on or before the payment due date, and you want to be wary of taking out credit cards that you do not plan to use just to get a small one-time discount or promotional item. That's not a reason to take out a credit card, okay? Prudent credit card usage that stays within your limits will help you build a credit history and will be positively reflected in your credit report. So I don't know if you guys are familiar, but sometimes when you're playing like online games, maybe on your phone, it's going to say, oh, we'll give you this many credits for you to apply for this credit card, right? Has that ever happened to anybody?
No, but there are the where you can buy coins, you can buy like the in-app purchases.
Mm-hmm. So
Is that what you mean?
no, they're actually asking you to apply for a certain credit card to get credits within a game.
Oh,
So they're trying to get you to apply for these credit cards. That's not a good reason to apply for a credit card. Every time you apply for a loan or a credit card, it's called what's a hard inquiry on your credit report. And usually those hard inquiries, they're going to lower your credit score just by making that inquiry, okay, for them to review your credit, okay? So you should really only be applying for a type of credit, a loan or something like that, car loan, maybe once or twice a year, because your credit is going to take a little bit of a hit every time that you apply, okay? So, we talked about getting payments. Don't accept every credit card solicitation, right? You want to be wary of that kind of stuff. And then always stay within your limits, okay? And help you build a good credit report, and it will be positively reflected in your credit report. Okay, so we're at the knowledge check time.
It's a true and false question, okay? So if you have too many credit cards, a creditor may think that you are overextended and that you might fall behind on future payments. True or false?
True.
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 Yes. Very good, very good. The more credit cards you have, the more of a liability you'll be, and the more likely that you won't be able to pay the creditor back on time. So that's one of the reasons why they run your credit and make sure that you are in good standings with all the credit cards you have, because they're actually taking a chance on you and lending you your money. Good job.
Okay. All right, so on the last slide, we talked about payment due dates. Every time that your money is borrowed, you want to, there's contract language that specifies when payments are due. And the due date is always indicated. It means that the payment must be received on or before that specified date. Grace periods, what they call grace periods, do not eliminate the responsibility of making sure that your payments are received by the lender or by the due date. And in most cases, lenders or creditors who receive payments past the due date will add a late charge and or other additional interest fees. And these things, they do report to credit agencies. So when you make a late payment and when you're even past a certain date, maybe they give you a grace period. Maybe they wait 30 to 60 days before they report that. But you're still going to have to be charged a late fee, and it's going to the creditor or the lender is going to be noting that, and that's going to hurt your credit in the future. Okay, so so this next activity is showing you guys an example of how much is paid to a creditor and when only the minimum payment is applied to the $3,760.08 balance. Okay, so Okay, so you can see the new balance. What we said was $3,760.08. The minimum payment due is $108, and the payment due date is June 23rd, 2013. Okay? It tells you right there what your late payment warning is. If you do not receive your minimum payment by the date listed, you will have to pay a $35 late fee. And it also tells you a minimum payment warning. If you only make the minimum payoff each period, you will pay more in interest and it will take you longer to pay your balance. It tells you, for example, if you make no additional charges using this card each month, you pay only the minimum payment, 145 days. Okay, you will pay the balance shown on this statement in about 16 years. 3 years. So only the minimum payment is 16 years, and you'll end up paying an estimated total of $9,598. If you pay of that 145, if you pay $145 payment, it'll take you 3 years to pay off, and it'll cost you still $5,220, but you will save this amount. Okay. So, your credit report. A credit report is a document that describes a person's history of borrowing money and repaying what they owe. You guys can review your own credit report, and you can also give others permission to look at it when you apply for a loan or complete a credit card application. So when you're applying for those things, you're giving the lender or the creditor permission to look at your credit report, okay? And employers and utility companies can also check your credit report. So sometimes, depending on what kind of job you're getting, they want to see if you're a responsible person, if you're fiscally responsible, so you're financially responsible, and they may run your credit report. And having a low score or showing a lot of irresponsible behavior with your money can keep you from getting a job. Okay, and so you should review your credit report at least once a year to check for errors and fraud. And a federal law called the Fair Credit Reporting Act, or FCRA, allows you to receive one free copy of your credit report every year from each of the 3 credit reporting agencies. And that won't go against your credit. Okay, you get your one free a year. So let me ask you guys a few questions just so we can have a little bit of a discussion. When has anybody ever looked at their credit report? Does anybody besides Maddie?
Actually, no, I have not looked at my credit report, surprisingly.
Really?
Yeah. I
Okay.
didn't know that. I was just reading that. Wow.
Okay. So, if you looked at your credit report, you would want to see if you have anything unexpected or any errors. Does anyone know how to obtain your credit report?
No, I mean just me, sorry.
Credit Karma.
You can get credit. You can get some credit information. Thank you. You can get some credit information from apps like Credit Karma. What are some other apps? I can't think of a name right now. But you can get that information, but they don't always report to all 3 agencies. So getting the full report from each credit agency is important because you can have different things on those different or charges or different accounts that aren't listed on another credit reporting agency. Okay.
I have a question.
Sure.
Have you heard of the app Experian Boost?
Mm-hmm.
Is it true that it does raise your credit score? Or is it just fake or what?
I wouldn't say it's fake. I think that you have to follow steps that they're probably promoting within the app for you to help your credit score. So they're going to help you review your credit report. Say if you have something, a bad credit, somebody, a creditor or a lender reported that you made a late payment or you skipped out on your apartment and you didn't pay the last month or something like that, and they report it to the credit agency. You can only have that on your credit report for 7 years. So after those 7 years, you can actually contest the credit agency for them to remove that from your account. So what I'm assuming is that Experian Boost is reviewing your credit report, seeing what you can do to improve. And if you follow their steps, then it should help you boost your credit score.
So
and
it
fix your
doesn't.
credit report.
So it doesn't boost it instantly just by checking it.
No, I wouldn't say so, and I probably not what they're completely promoting, but they're going to have somebody review your credit report and show you how to boost your credit score by doing certain steps.
Okay.
So why do you guys think an employer or a landlord or utility company would check your credit report?
To make sure that they're guaranteed payments from you for whatever they want. Like for like a landlord, like they're guaranteed the monthly payment, or I forgot how it works, but something like that.
For their monthly payment, they might charge you. An employer would be like just to make sure that you're responsible, and especially if you work with any type of money, they're gonna want to make sure that you're responsible because you could become a liability. A landlord, they would probably ask you those check your credit report because they might possibly not accept your application, your rental application, because they don't feel you're responsible, or just like with the utility company, if they see that you have a history of not paying payments on time, or even have payments with a utility company that you still owe them, they will charge you an extra deposit. So a lot of times when you're opening up, like say with the electric company, and you're opening up an account with them, you move and you need to open up an account, they're going to run your credit score and see where you're at, and run your credit report and see where you're at. And then they're going to, if you're have a certain score that's below a certain threshold, or they see things in your credit report, they're going to charge you a deposit, because they're going to want, they're thinking, oh, if they move, they might just not pay their payment. So if I have this deposit in there, I'm going to be able to get my money back the last month. So they'll charge you like a $200 deposit in order to open up that account, depending on your credit score.
Okay.
And your credit report. If you have a great credit score, and you don't have any negative items on your credit report, then you're probably going to not have to put a deposit down. So those are just kind of things to think about, okay? Because that does happen. And what types of inquiries could potentially lower your credit rating that is reflected on your credit report? What do you guys think?
Like what things would like ruin your credit score? Doing what things would you do to ruin your credit score?
Right. What would lower your credit rating?
Buying
cards.
Say that again, Robert.
Maxing out your credit cards, miss.
Okay.
Same thing as buying too many shoes, something like that.
Right. You have they see that you have spending habits that maybe you're living a little bit past your means, right?
By not paying your bills.
Yes, that's the number one indicator. Yes. Okay, so let's move on. Continuing with your credit report. We've talked about lenders. I'm not going to go over that again. Can you guys see this whole thing? There. Okay. So when we're talking about credit reports, they're really a history of your credit activity, and they contain both current and past account data. Okay, so your credit report contains all of this information: your name, your date, your social security number on your tax identification number, your current and previous addresses, your employers, and then your debts. So your debts are what is owed to a person or institution for obtaining merchandise or services, and without immediately paying for them, right? And then usually a debt is acquired through a loan or a use of credit. Bankruptcies. Okay. That's public information such as tax liens, bankruptcies, or foreclosures. Even if this happened several years ago, that'll stay on your credit report. Okay. So does anybody know what a bankruptcy is?
Camera's off. Camera's on, you know.
Does anybody know what a bankruptcy is?
You
Yeah.
ran out of money and like just can't do anything. Mostly as a
Yeah.
business.
Right. Okay. So just the definition for that is that it's used to describe, it's a term that's used to describe the legal process that's undertaken by individuals in a situation of being unable to pay his or her debts. Okay. And there's several types or chapters of bankruptcy. So consumers, just normal people generally may explore either Chapter 7 bankruptcy or Chapter 13 bankruptcy. And then Chapter 7 bankruptcy results in liquidation of the debt of the debtor's assets. That means that the assets are sold to pay as much debt as possible. And then the rest of the debt is forgiven or discharged. And then Chapter 13 bankruptcy is used for rehabilitation of the debtor, meaning that at least a portion of all debt is repaid according to a plan set up by bankruptcy court. Okay? So you have to figure out which one is the best for you. Okay? So we talked about inquiries. Okay. So foreclosures. What is a foreclosure? Does anybody know what a foreclosure is?
When per se like like sometimes I forgot we had to do where you had to like borrow money from a bank and now the bank owns like something of yours, like a house or something, and then the foreclosure is when you can't make the payment, like the payment back, they take away the house, something like that.
Right. So they're going to foreclose on your home loan, right?
I think so.
Okay. So
Right.
yeah, foreclosure is a legal process in which collateral property is sold in an attempt to satisfy the outstanding debt of a mortgage. A lot of times when you have a housing foreclosure, they're going to try and sell it off to get the most money that they can, and they might lose some money, the bank. They might lose some money in the process. A lot of times they do, but they're trying to recoup or get back as much money as they possibly can. Okay. And then an inquiry. So inquiry is made by potential creditors each time you apply for credit, whether you are granted or denied credit. Okay. So that's just used to describe the process used by creditors to request a copy of your credit report. And inquiries occur every time a consumer fills out a credit application and or requests the extension of credit. So like I said earlier, too many inquiries appearing on a credit report are considered damaging to the credit report. So if you're just applying for all of these credit cards, that's going to really significantly lower your score. And they're going to think that you're not responsible, that you're just trying to get lines of credit so that you can just max out those credit cards or things like that. Okay. So, okay. So go ahead.
How exactly do food stamps work, or how do you qualify for them?
Food stamps?
Yes.
Well, food stamps is completely different, and that's not really based on your credit score. But that's if depending on, they have a formula that they set up that depending on the amount of money you make, maybe how many children you have, they're going to look at the amount of money that you pay in bills and things like that. And so, if you have a good income above a certain threshold, you're probably not going to qualify. Depending on how many kids you have, you may be able to qualify. But that's not based on your credit report. Okay, that's based more on your cash that you have on hand, and if you're just able to feed your children or yourself. Okay, but You have to be under on a threshold in order to get those kind of services. It's usually reserved for the most economically disadvantaged people. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so here's an example of a credit report. I'm gonna zoom out a little bit, and you guys might not be able to read the whole thing. It might be a little small, but you guys have this document, so you can look at this later. Okay. So when we're looking at this sample credit report, at the top, you're gonna have your consumer identification, which is here. Okay, and that's your name, address, your social security number, and other identifying information. Okay, then you're going to have your credit score, which is here. So this person, Dave Dayton, he has a credit score of 668. Okay, and that's a fair rating. Okay, that's a fair rating. It's not a poor rating, but it's a fair rating. So it's somewhere in the middle. Okay. So, and that credit score, again, is the numerical value determined by a statistical model that's based upon past credit behaviors, and it predicts the likelihood of future loan default. Okay, so if you have a really low credit score and you have a poor credit score, you're probably not going to be approved for certain credit cards with certain interest rates. You might get approved for a credit card that has like a 30% interest rate, but that's not something that you want to get. Okay, so we talked about inquiries. Let's see. So the inquiries are here. So these are when you've applied for credit. So this one was a household. A household from ABC Bank. So these are the accounts that have been transferred to a professional debt collecting, inquiries. You had your household one. They have some merit system. There's a mortgage one on here, and it has the dates right here that these inquiries were taken. So he had 3 inquiries within a month's period. So that credit score probably dropped because it was in such a short period. Okay, and then the other one was about 6 months before that. Okay, this person has a number of collections on here. So these are the accounts that have been transferred to a professional debt collecting agency, and he has several on here. Okay, 3 on here, and it talks about, it has the amount on here, it has the account numbers. I don't see a date on this one, but it also talks about the balance right here. Okay, and then your trades. So that's an ongoing historical and current record of your buying and payment activities. Okay.
Miss,
Yes.
is your credit score easy to fix?
There's certain ways that you can fix it, and the best way to fix your credit score, especially if you have collections, is to start making payments on those collections, on what you owe that creditor. You can set up payment plans, things like that, and get those debts down. But, and like we were talking about earlier, you can also if you have something from 7 years ago, or past 7 years, or something that's still on your credit report, you can send a letter, and I have copies of those kinds of letters, so that templates, so that you can dispute charges on your credit report. And that, when you get certain collections off of your credit report, that'll boost your score. Okay. So,
thank you, Miss.
You're welcome. So some basics on credit reporting agencies. Okay. Credit reporting agencies are companies that gather information on potential borrowers and provide that information in the form of a credit report to a credit grantor for a fee. Okay. So if Viva Dodge, you go in and you're going to go apply for a car loan, the credit reporting agency is providing them with your credit report, and they probably either have an account set up, where they're where they pay a certain fee a year or something like that, depending on how they set it up, or they can pay it individually. But usually people that are making, or entities or organizations that are making hard inquiries like that often will probably be set up on a different account.
Where can you get car loans? At the dealership or at the bank?
That's a good question. You can, it's always better for you to try and get a loan with a financial institution that you already have a relationship with. So say you have an account at GECU or Bank of America and they know your history. You want to go in and see if you can apply for a car loan and see how much you will qualify for, and then have that already approved and in hand before you even go to the car dealership. That's the best approach. But you can go to a car dealership and they will run your credit, but they might send out hard inquiries to several different lending agencies. So each lending agency that you sent out a hard inquiry to, that's going to drop your credit score for each one that you did. So it's better for you to go to the bank that you're already with, and that you already have an established relationship with, and try and get a loan that way. You're most likely going to get a much lower interest rate, and they already have your history. So it's going to be one inquiry, and you already have it approved, and then you just go and look for cars that are within your payment range, and you already have your terms and conditions and your interest rates done. A car dealer is just gonna a lot of times send out as many hard inquiries to get that car loan approved, even if they're high interest rates and they're not really looking out after your best interest. They're just trying to sell that car. Okay, so it's better for you to try and get that loan through your bank. Okay, does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so credit inquiries or applications for credit will show up on your credit report. We talked about that. And those credit inquiries stay on your credit report for 24 months, so 2 years, okay? So you have the flexibility of checking out your financial options within a short period of time when shopping for a car or a home mortgage, just like I talked about right now. So do you guys know some ways to obtain a copy of your credit report?
You go to your bank and then ask them, or do you go on their website and go on and ask to print out, or you go on like the kind of like a file and print it out, or what?
Does anybody else have an answer?
Wait, am I right or am I wrong?
I'm gonna elaborate, but I want to see if anybody else has an answer.
Okay.
No?
Could you repeat the question, Miss?
What are some ways to obtain a copy of your credit report?
I'm not sure.
Maybe ask for your receipt of your when you take money out.
So that's not really your credit report, that's just your banking statement, right? Okay. So you have your credit reporting agencies, okay? And those agencies, like we talked about, are the companies that gather your information from your potential borrowers, and they provide that information on a form or the credit report to the credit grantors for a fee. We talked about that, right? So we have these 3 reporting agencies that maintain a record of your credit history, right? So you would want to go to those companies and request a credit report, right? So Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. So you can get that online, okay? And remember, how many times a year can you get? Are you able to get a free credit report? You guys remember? Once a year, right?
2?
Once a year.
Oh, okay.
Okay, you're able to get a free credit report, okay, with no charge. So you guys want to
Why do they
go ahead?
Why do they charge you to see your credit?
Because they're a company and they have to print certain materials for you. And so they're still trying to make money. So you're allowed under the government act that we talked about earlier to get the one, but you know, they're still trying to make money. So they're going to go ahead and charge you.
Like charging the ink and the labor, right?
Well, I mean, whatever their fee is, but I mean, that
Oh,
probably
okay.
goes into it. Okay.
Okay.
So we talked about how that's going to show up on your report. Even if you're denied a credit card or you decide to decline the credit card, if you already went to run that inquiry, it's still going to show up. So too many creditor inquiries on your credit report in a 24-month period, you really want to keep that to a minimum, okay? And so when you're shopping for a car or home mortgage, you do have the flexibility of checking out your financing options with a short period of time, and then doing so that you were comparison shopping versus desperately seeking credit, okay? So requesting a copy of your own credit report for your personal review is always encouraged and does not negatively impact your credit history. So if you try to get that copy from one of those 3 reporting agencies in the you get that once a year, it's not going to affect your credit report. But if you're going and doing all these hard inquiries with a mortgage company, with a bank, with the car loan, car dealership, that's going to drop your score a little bit. Okay. Okay. So so the basics of managing your credit. I think that this is probably a good place for us to stop. Since we're approaching the hour, I'm going to go ahead and stop recording and we can discuss the rest of the class. We're going to meet next week and finish the module out. Let me stop recording.